AMD is used to being treated like the redheaded stepchild at partner events. Manufacturers like ASUS typically line up all their sexy new designs with Intel inside, and then there's like a room over there somewhere with the more plastic, crappier AMD version that's not even coming for another 3 months. Oh, how the tables have turned. Literally, every single one of the machines that ASUS showed up with today for our CES pre-briefing is launching with an AMD CPU.
CES 2020 coverage is brought to you by Pulsewave, the remote access software that lets you access your Windows, Mac, and Linux systems from a single app. Create your free account today and try it out for your business at the link below.
The quickest and easiest way to tell that AMD is really leading the charge in the CPU space is that they're suddenly going all Intel tactics on us by not allowing ASUS to tell us anything other than that this is a 4000 series Ryzen processor. Fortunately, we have basic investigative skills like Googling Ryzen 4000 leak and reading. So here's the rundown. The new ASUS Zephyrus G14 is an all-new 14-inch laptop design that is just smoking. Ryzen 4000 is going to be the first time that AMD brings their 7nm Zen 2 to laptops. Because confusingly, remember guys, their 3000 series mobile are still 14nm. So with the decrease in transistor size, we are getting some significant benefits, starting with an increase in core count. That's right, my friends, in this tiny 14-inch Zephyrus, AMD, well, ASUS really, but who's keeping track, has somehow managed to cram a true 8-core, 16-thread CPU that is expected to boost at over 4 gigahertz. Now, it'll be interesting to see how much of the 7nm efficiency boost AMD chooses to use for performance versus battery life, but given that ASUS is advertising, oh, thank you, 10 hours on a 76 watt-hour battery, we will probably be getting a fair bit of both. And the cold hard truth is that if we're wrong about this, AMD has nobody to blame but their own obstinance. Maybe the coolest thing about this processor though, and the Zephyrus G14 as a whole, is that it really blurs the line between a gaming and a professional laptop. Like, look at this thing. It looks like you could show up in a boardroom meeting with it, but you're getting an RTX 2060, 3200 megahertz RAM so you can shred them games, and then 8 cores so you can tear through renders. You get a 120 hertz display with FreeSync, but you're also getting Pantone calibration. You're getting all that RGB. Wait, you don't get RGB? No. No RGB, well, how could I buy a gaming laptop without a lighting gimmick? Hey, there it is. It's back here. So yeah, they've got 1,250 mini LEDs on the back of the display that allow you to put custom pictures or animations on the rear of your computer. This is an optional extra though, so most of you will probably be ending up with what is a shockingly toned down laptop for an ROG machine. So the design goal of the Zephyrus G14 was to take on the do-it-all gaming laptops like the Razer Blade, but at a more affordable price. That doesn't mean though that ASUS sacrificed build quality. So here we've got the forged and CNC machined magnesium chassis that ASUS is using in the G14. You can actually see they've strategically left like a honeycomb pattern here on the wrist rest so that there's surprisingly little flex to this thing, even without the assembled laptop around it. And I'm like, you heard that, I'm trying to break it. Another really nice to have is a fingerprint reader, but not just any fingerprint reader, my friends. ASUS was very proud of this here, guys. What we're looking at is the world's first triangular power button with a built-in fingerprint reader. Wait, I'm sorry, who was asking for this? Apparently, this is actually a $6 part for them, and I sincerely hope that most of the cost was in its hidden superpower, the ability to cache your fingerprint temporarily when you press the button initially, then use that cached data to unlock the device once Windows asks for authentication. I hope they didn't spend too much on the shape. In keeping with the Zephyrus name, ASUS needed to include some fancy ways to manage the thermals in such a small device, and they haven't disappointed. Lifting up the screen causes the whole device to lift up off the surface it's sitting on, making the keyboard slightly more ergonomic and the downfiring speakers sound better. And of course, it also allows the machine to pull nice cool air into the fans from the bottom of the unit. Getting air into the machine, of course, though, is only half the battle, and this new hinge means that they can't just blast the hot air out the back straight into the bottom of the display. This was actually quite a problem on one of their Strix laptops about 2 years ago. They didn't design enough room for the air to get out, so you'd get way better performance when the screen was either like this or like this, but then you'd get thermal throttling if it was at a 90-degree angle. Anyway, ASUS has solved this by splitting the airflow with these fancy new heat sinks so that it goes both, check this out, this is cool. So it goes both up and down to get as much heat out as possible. And if that's still not enough heat output for you, well then you can say goodbye to the Zephyrus here and move over to what we call the thick boy. This is the ASUS Tough A15 gaming laptop, and it features up to a 45-watt, 8-core 4th gen Ryzen. That is 10 more watts than the Zephyrus. Now, this is the cost down model of the ASUS laptop lineup, so you don't get fancy things like magnesium chassis. You hear that flex? It's probably an engineering sample, but it's probably not gonna get that much better. Or a flippy doodle hinge, but we do seem to have the makings of a pretty solid budget laptop here. It's got a 144 Hz display with FreeSync, an RTX 2060, most impressively, a 90 watt-hour battery. This means that if you don't mind the chonk, the Tough could easily have everything you need in a laptop. It even has easily upgradable RAM and storage, but you're just gonna have to trust me on that since I wasn't allowed to film the inside. Apparently, some of the stuff in this engineering sample will not be in the final version. What? I'm sorry, I can't tell you. Finally, over here, we've got the ASUS GA35. This is their new flagship desktop, and like, how crazy is this? Flagship products with AMD CPUs, what? So it's got a 16-core, 32-thread Ryzen 3950X paired with a Strix RTX 2080 Ti, giving me no doubts whatsoever that it's gonna be a gaming beast. And seems like it's gonna be a pretty quiet one too, given how much room there is for airflow. And ASUS insisted that I mention just how many thermal zones it has. It's got lots of thermal zones, okay? One really cool thing though about this desktop is the two hot swappable 2.5-inch bays in the front, which will likely be super useful for esports tournaments. And more importantly, messing with your friend who buys one. Just here, guys, sorry, how do you get the thing off? Help me out here. Where is it? Thank you, okay. So guys, pro tip, you just pull it out a little bit so it looks like it's still installed. Hours of hilarity will ensue while he or she uses the integrated carrying handle to chuck the thing out a window because it won't boot. Speaking of throwing things, I'm gonna throw this over to our sponsor message. Wait, who's tinkering with the server right now? It's gotta be the guys on Pulseway. Pulseway is the simple app available for iOS or Android that allows you to control your IT infrastructure when you're on the go. It's got remote desktop functionality, you can update your systems, you can monitor network activity, all kinds of stuff, and it works with Windows, Mac, and of course, Linux. So what are you guys waiting for? Try Pulseway for free and get 20% off their Teams plan at the link in the video description. Wasn't that wonderful? Make sure you guys are subscribed so you don't miss any of our CES content. Oh, and also we make videos the rest of the year as well. Hey, what the hell is this? You bastards! I bet Jeff did this. Because Alex couldn't have done it on his own. You would have had to show him how to do this. WTF, dude?